Hello everyone, and welcome to Behind the Bulletin. Today, we're diving into a heartwarming update that has fans buzzing across social media. A recent reveal has offered a rare and intimate glimpse into a relationship that many didn't expect to see shared so openly, and the reactions have been overwhelming. Fans buzz over Song Ji-hyo's latest update showcasing her unbreakable bond with her boyfriend. What did she share, and why has it touched so many people? Stay with us as we explore the details, starting right now. It wasn't supposed to feel this intense. At first glance, it was just another update, quiet, personal, almost understated. No dramatic announcement. No carefully staged reveal. Just a glimpse into a moment that felt genuine, unfiltered, and unexpectedly powerful. Yet within minutes of going live, the reaction was explosive. Fans froze. Screenshots spread faster than explanations. Comments multiplied at a pace that felt breathless. What Song Ji-hyo shared was not loud, but it was unmistakably firm. The bond on display was not playful speculation or vague suggestion, it was solid, confident, and deeply rooted. And that was precisely what shocked people. For years, Song Ji-hyo had guarded her private life with remarkable discipline. Even in an industry that thrives on exposure. Drawn clear lines. Fans respected that distance. Some even admired it. When she chose to share something this personal, this unmistakably intimate, it landed with weight. The first reactions were disbelief. Is this real? She never does this. Why now? The questions weren't suspicious, they were stunned. Fans replayed the update again and again, searching for clues, for context, for meaning. Doubt wasn't just the presence of her boyfriend, but the atmosphere between them. There was no hesitation. No uncertainty. Just calm. Grounded closeness. That calm was unsettling, because it suggested permanence. As the hours passed, the tone of the conversation shifted. Shock gave way to emotion. Some fans admitted they felt unexpectedly moved. Others confessed discomfort, not because the relationship seemed wrong, but because it felt final. Like a chapter turning without warning. Social media fractured into emotional camps. One side celebrated fiercely. They praised her courage, her honesty, her right to love openly on her own terms. Looks happy, they wrote. That's all that matters. The other side struggled quietly, not with anger. Loss. For them, this update marked the end of a fantasy they hadn't realized they were holding on to. What made it worse was how real it felt. This wasn't curated romance. There were no dramatic gestures. No cinematic framing. Just two people standing firmly together. Unafraid of being seen. That authenticity stripped away the buffer fans often rely on, the sense that celebrity relationships exist at a distance. This one didn't. And once that realization set in, turned into something heavier. By the next day, the update had become a cultural moment. Because it was controversial, but because it challenged expectations. Fans began dissecting the why behind their reactions. Why did this feel shocking when it was, by all standards, healthy and sincere? Why did a display of stability feel more disruptive than scandal ever could? The answer lay in timing and trust. Song Ji-hyo had never rushed this moment. Restraint gave her reveal credibility. When she finally chose to share, it didn't feel impulsive. It felt deliberate. And deliberateness carries consequence. Fans understood, instinctively, that this wasn't a fleeting phase or a strategic reveal. It was a statement. That realization intensified everything. Support became louder. Criticism became sharper. Confusion lingered in between. Some fans worried about her exposure. Others feared the pressure this openness might bring. A few questioned whether the public was ready to accept her happiness without trying to control it. Media coverage amplified the tension. Headlines framed the update as unexpected, bold, even decisive. Added gravity. Each interpretation shaped the story further away from the original moment. What had begun as a personal update was now a lens through which fans projected hopes, fears, and long-held assumptions. Yet through all of it, one thing remained undeniable. The bond looked unshakable. There was no apology in the way she stood beside him. Attempt to soften the message. She wasn't asking for approval, she was sharing truth. Distinction mattered. It forced fans to confront a difficult reality. Admiration does not grant ownership. Gradually, the conversation softened. More voices began to emphasize respect over reaction. She doesn't owe us explanations. One comment read, "If anything, this shows how much she trusts us." That sentiment gained traction. Emotional chaos began to settle into understanding. Fans were witnessing wasn't just a relationship, it was growth. Growth that came with distance, clarity, and confidence. That no longer required hiding. And while not everyone was ready for that shift, many recognized its significance. In the end, the buzz wasn't about romance. It was about transition. A beloved figure stepping into a new phase of life with certainty. Inviting the public not to judge, but to witness. That kind of honesty is rare. And rare things always shake the ground before they find balance. As the noise slowly fades, one truth remains. Song Ji-hyo didn't just share her relationship, she shared her strength. And that is why fans are still talking. The initial wave of reaction subsided. Something quieter, but far more intense, took its place. The noise didn't disappear. It settled. Fans who had celebrated or struggled in public now turned inward, replaying the update in their minds. The image refused to fade. It lingered not because it was dramatic, but because it was steady. And steadiness, in a world conditioned to expect chaos, felt unsettling. Late at night, posts appeared that weren't written for attention. "I didn't realize how attached I was until now. Happy for her, but I don't know why I feel like this." These confessions revealed the true weight of the moment. The reaction was no longer about the relationship itself, it was about identity. For many fans, Song Ji-hyo had represented independence, mystery, and emotional distance. The choice to share something so grounded and complete forced a recalibration of how people saw her, and how they saw their place in her story. Calibration hurt. Not because it was wrong, but because it was irreversible. Online spaces grew more reflective. Arguments softened into discussions. Some fans acknowledged feelings of jealousy, not romantic, but emotional. The loss of exclusivity. Imagined, Kara distinct. Others admitted relief. Seeing her anchored, supported, and confident eased long-standing worries they hadn't known they were carrying. But even reflection carried tension. A question hovered beneath every conversation. Is this the beginning of a new era, or the end of an old one? Media outlets sensed the shift and adjusted their framing. Less shock, more analysis. Articles began exploring the psychology of fandom. Pressure placed on female celebrities to remain emotionally available. And the double standards that rarely allow them happiness without scrutiny. Yet the attention itself became part of the problem. Some fans began expressing concern that the spotlight, turned toward her private life, might never fully turn away. The very act of sharing, meant to be honest and controlled, had unlocked a level of interest that felt difficult to contain. Supportive messages now sat beside invasive speculation. Boundary between care and entitlement blurred once again. Still, one thing became increasingly clear. Song Ji-hyo was not retreating. There were no follow-up clarifications. No attempts to soften the message or reframe it for comfort. The update stood as it was, unexplained, unapologetic, and intact. That silence, felt different. Not evasive. Resolute. And fans felt it. Gradually, acceptance began to outweigh resistance. Because everyone agreed. But because the reality was undeniable. This wasn't a momentary reveal or a strategic gesture. It was a declaration of stability. And stability does not ask for permission. The emotional intensity eased, replaced by something more complex: respect. Respect for her timing. Respect for her boundaries. For the courage it takes to be visible without performing. Buzz hadn't faded, but it had matured. What began as shock had become recognition. Recognition that admiration must evolve alongside the people it's directed toward. Recognition that love, when real, does not need spectacle to prove itself. And perhaps most importantly, recognition that letting go of expectations is sometimes the greatest act of support. The story was no longer escalating. It was settling into truth. In the end, what truly captured attention was not the update itself, but what it revealed beneath the surface. Song Ji-hyo's choice to share a glimpse of her unbreakable bonded. More than confirm a relationship, it challenged long-held expectations, stirred deeply personal emotions, and forced a collective pause. Fans weren't reacting to shock or scandal, they were reacting to authenticity, to certainty, to a moment that felt real in a space often defined by performance. This chapter reminded everyone that admiration must grow alongside the people we admire. That love, when honest and grounded, doesn't weaken an image, it strengthens it. Allowing someone to move forward on their own terms is the purest form of respect. As the buzz fades, what remains is understanding. Understanding that happiness doesn't need permission. Understanding that change doesn't mean loss. Understanding that sometimes the strongest bond is simply the one that stands quietly, without explanation. Thank you for staying with us through every part of this story. Truly appreciate your time, your curiosity, and your willingness to look beyond the headlines and reflect on the deeper emotions behind them. If this story encouraged you to think differently about love, fandom, or personal boundaries, then it has served its purpose. This has been Behind the Bulletin. Thank you for joining us. Look forward to seeing you again soon.